Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. All right, guys, let's just hop into it. I asked what this reading was going to be about, and what I heard is these feelings are so intense. Um, I guess there's a lot of feelings going on. It's a lot of feels going on. And whatever these feels are, for those who are um, very empathic, you're feeling the feels. I am just in a really weird space today. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. Um. Oh. Hold up. Hold up. Hold on. I gotta. Oh, wait. 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 Okay. Okay. Let's get started. It's a lot. It's a lot of energy, a lot of frequency, a lot of different potentialities, just a lot. And I think whatever this is, if you allow it, it can grow you. If you allow, it can and it will grow you into the spaces that you belong. I've been, whenever I get like super in my emos, I go ahead and sometimes begin to compile more poetry. I don't know if you guys know this, but I sometimes, sometimes, I sometimes write poetry, right? It might be something you know, might be something you don't know. But, anyways, I wrote something. I'm in the process of becoming something I don't understand. I'm growing into a version of me I'm not yet intimately familiar with. It's scary to admit this out loud. It's even scarier to pretend I trust this process while I feel myself quietly dying inside. Oh, hot diggity damn. I mean, whew. How many of y'all feel that right now? Like you feel this tangible sense of a part of you is withering away like a delicate flower. A part of you is withering away. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's going on, you know? Like mm. Ah. I'm just saying, like, this is a lot. It's a lot of energy, a lot of feelings. I think for some of us, um, these feelings and energies pertain to our own personal journey. For others of us, these feelings, all of these really intense fluctuations of energy and emotion pertains to someone else. And let's see what the reading tells us. Let's see what the cards tell us. And let's see. Mhm. Um, all right. So, intention, allowing yourself to set a specific intention, to be very, very cognizant of what it is you're trying to do, right? Just very, very cognizant of whatever it is. Um, I'm being told to do this reading slightly differently. Hold on. It's like I'm challenging the mic or something. I'm told to do this reading slightly differently. I'm not going to be doing reversals. It's going to be more of me just kind of choosing to put the cards upright, is what I heard. And it's a very clear indication that we haven't been using our intention and our power proactively enough. It's like this sense of when something goes upside down in your life, you're like, oh my God, it's upside down. It's upside down. Rather than being like, whoopsie, let's turn it back side up. Let's turn it right side up. Oops. Oops. Didn't mean for that. Right. So let's go ahead and do that right now. You have to invoke something. You have to be very, very intentional in what you are creating for yourself. You have to be in control of what you are calling to you. You have to allow yourself to choose. Do I want this? Do I want that? What is it that I want? What am I trying to do? What is the objective? There will be those who will serve as a mirror. A mirror. Wait, what? What's dying, an annual or a perennial? I think annuals die this time of year. I'm like, I'm waiting for you to continue. Ooh, okay. So if it's a perennial, it will grow back, right? Hmm. If it's an annual, then harvest the seeds and grow again. You always come out with the bangers, I'm telling you. You want to hear something? So I had this like veggie patch, right? And I've had this veggie patch for quite some time. And it's kind of this thing of like, um, some of the pots, they're all potted plants because when we move, I'm not leaving no plant babies behind. I'm just not. That's not the kind of mother that I am. So, um, what happened one of these years was I had in one container a whole bunch of strawberry plants, right? And and those grew, and then obviously they died back. And I don't know, I'm just kind of like I can't be bothered to this has to change. I can't be bothered to harvest the seeds. I'm kind of just like it is what it is. You died. And that's what you do. You die at certain times of the year, and then, we'll figure it out next year whether we want strawberries or not. And right beside the pot that grew the strawberries was, because I'm kind of crazy, was the pot that was growing the foxglove digitalis, a highly toxic plant, because part of my garden are poisonous plants. What? I have darkness in me sometimes. And I loved the foxglove digitalis. That was like one of my most favorite blossoms. I'm just like, you're so pretty. You're so pretty. Every time it grows, I'm totally like fawning over it. Well, this year at the start of spring, I know what pot I grow the foxglove digitalis, and I let it do its thing, and it drops its seeds, and then more grows the next year, right? Except this year, I'm like, Glovey, where you at? I don't think those are your leaves. Why do your leaves look like that? What's going on here? And I realized the strawberries that die every year, they went ahead and they commingled with a foxglove. So now strawberries are growing in the foxglove pot. And I'm kind of just like, can I still eat that? I don't know if I could eat that. sometimes even when you don't harvest the seeds that life gives you, gifts to you, life has this beautiful way of just finding a way to continue. Thank you for that reminder, Miss Melissa. I'm at a point where it's just like things are what they are, and when I feel so inclined, I will harvest the seeds or I will allow it to do what it does because all of my potted plants are very close to each other and it just propagates. Yeah, exactly. Self propagation. It just propagates itself. But I kind of need to remove my foxglove from the mix of edible things because my logic was that, foxglove is a very potent metaphysical property to it and it's very protective. And I was like, because the rabbits, right? There were rabbits in one of the yards that I lived in. And I totally was like, the foxglove will protect the yummies. Not to mention the chicken wire that I placed around the garden, but I was like, you rabbits. I don't wish you harm, but stop eating my goodies. I couldn't hurt them. I just couldn't, especially when their babies ended up in one of the egress windows. And I was so freaked out. Like, how do I get you out? You're scary because you're small. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But I totally thought I was going to protect my garden by commingling my foxglove with my edible plants. I was not thinking. I was not thinking at all. But I digress. The whole thing, the whole conversation is that where there is life that is destined to be lived, you really can't stop it. You have to really, really, really go out of your way, intentionally go out of your way to try and interfere with that. Allow life to be what it's being, allow it to transform you into what it is you're being transformed into. Because whatever this is, these feelings that you're feeling, it's a mirror of the shadows that live inside you. Shadow is not intrinsically evil. It's just not. Shadow is not intrinsically evil. This guy, though, is creepy. He's creepy. Mm-hmm. He's creepy. But shadow itself, it's not intrinsically evil. It's definitely something that oftentimes enshrouds a lot of your gifts. And oftentimes, when your gifts are enshrouded, are covered, hidden, however you want to put it, it's because you're still in the process of developing the maturity to responsibly handle that. Whatever it is you're feeling, it's indicative of the process that you are in. Whatever it is that you're going through, it's nothing but part of a process. What you need to cleanse from yourself is this aloofness that some might be choosing to exist in, right? Allowing yourself to be completely oblivious to things that are happening. Oh my God, I'm so oblivious most of the time. I just was talking to my husband about this yesterday. Like, I don't understand how I could just be so oblivious to a lot of things. I'm just so oblivious. It's frustrating. Um, I tend to be oblivious to people's intentions with me too, because I don't have intentions with people, and so my mind doesn't function that way. I don't see someone and think like, "Ooh, how can I benefit off of you?" or "Ooh, I'm gonna make you mine." You know what I mean? That's just not how my mind functions. And so that oblivious nature, I think these are the two aspects of you that are coming forward. There's the you that's totally oblivious, and then there's the you that's like intentioned, hopefully well intentioned. I would like to think that you have good intentions for yourself. But yeah, that's like a very intentional approach, right? That is the you that you're oblivious to, the you that's kind of hidden in the shadows a little bit, the you that's very preoccupied with a cultivation of the purity of something inside you. Um, yeah, that's intense. As you go through this process, you're secure. Your spaces where you are inside yourself, whatever house you live in within yourself, it is very secure. You're surrounded by protection. I think for some of us, as we're going through this process, um, for some of us, we're very insulated from feeling things. Um, we're very insulated from really just, the awareness of other people's intentions. We're just focused on this very introspective period, this very internalized process. Oh, God, some people just irritate me. I say that because I'm aware there is this awareness within me that there is a person, specific person, listening to everything I'm saying, like, oh, she's not aware. Now's the time I can try. Try what? Try being stupid? Try what? Try what? Try what? You go ahead and try. I'm gonna sit here and be like, I wish a motherfucker would. Really wishing. Wishing a motherfucker would try my energy. So now I'm debating. Do I sit here and publicly assess where I'm at within my emotions, refine my center, continue with the reading? Um, do I sit here, really let my feelings be felt by me, allow myself to get riled the fuck up and really fuck shit up? Or do I just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm ending the live. I'm good. I'm gonna go spend time with my family. I'm calling today a day off. Um and then I feel myself wanting to cry because of the fact that I really want to fuck shit up at this point. You know what I'm saying? But will I? Will I? Well, what's the intention? What is the objective? I know I can fuck shit up. I know I can. I'm fucking good at that. I know I can fuck shit up. What's the objective? Just to fuck shit up? Is that operating within the code of Bushido? Not really. I mean, do I always need to be Bushido? No. Maybe sometimes I need to be Mongolian and be like, let me get the quote. I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you. Woo! So I'll just say it. When I say I have the capacity and I'm built for war, I have very distinct memories. That was one of my lives. Mhm. When I say I can be tactical in nature, I feel the blood pumping through my veins. Thank you, Deb. Thank you. And that's what I needed. I needed to process. I needed to allow myself to see the various options presented to me so that I could make a very intentional, very, very intentional decision, recognizing this attempt to throw me off, recognizing what this reading is supposed to be, recognizing a distraction for what it is, a distraction, right? So then it makes sense. You just witnessed right there the attempts, parasitic attempts, right? Protection. If I step towards that invitation, because the rules of engagement have been enacted, right? If y'all don't understand how spiritual warfare works, rules of engagement. Once rules of engagement are enacted, Bushido is out the window. It just is. But with that, to step towards that invitation for engagement, that is to step out of your circle of protection. So maybe the feelings are attempts to get you to step outside of your circle of protection. What are you going to do? Are you going to take that invitation and accept it? Right? Life will always present you multiple options. And you can allow yourself to choose what option you will choose, or you can allow yourself a moment to begin really processing what those options are actually leading you towards. Every single option that you choose, every single option that is presented to you, it is an option that leads to another pathway. The only pathway that I will choose is a path of a goddess, knowing that feminine power lives inside me and it's being brought up, taken out of those spaces where I hide it. Some of the most powerful things that you could do is to choose, consciously choose to remain in a space of softness, a space of feminine power, right? Just really being feminine within yourself and within the ways in which you view life. Recognizing your foundation in this life as well as other lives, your foundation, where you are rooted within yourself, it is perfectly calibrated for everything that life is about to bring your way. Mm. Hmm. I feel like life has a lot of really good things to offer. I just do. I feel the potential of this garden. I feel how the garden carries within it the potential to grow anything and everything you could possibly choose to plant there. You could grow things that are simply ornamental, just for the aesthetics. You can grow things for the metaphysical properties, and that is it. You can grow things to sustain you, to feed you, nourish you. I mean, there's so many things that you can grow. And here you are, thinking of nothing but how many weeds will occupy that space and how you'll have to work to remove those weeds. You know what happens when you plant other plants? Do you know what happens? Some weeds require a specific amount of sun in order to really like take over the garden. When you plant other things intentionally, there's not enough sun exposure where those seeds are that came from the weeds, and they won't grow. They won't grow. You just have to understand how some of these things work. When you take up all your time, your space, and your energy with the things that you need to do, the things that grow you, sustain you, nourish you, there will be no space for any of those other things to grow. There just really isn't. I think a large part of the reason why I'm feeling, or I was feeling off centered today, is because I've been allowing things outside of myself, other people's processes, to have such an effect on me. And it's like, what does that even really have to do with me? Are we busy creating stories due to our lack of access to people's explanations? Ooh. Are you a storyteller? Are you telling yourself a story about this and that, not having any facts to back this up? Therefore, it is simply a story. And you're like, no, this is actually what's happening. I know for sure. I know for sure. How do you know? How do you know for sure? How do you know for sure? You don't. You don't, you know? Yet here you are, completely dedicated to this fictitious story you've created in your mind about whatever situation that's been tugging you away from your center point, right? It's been tugging you and tugging you and tugging you away. By summertime, if you place a lot of effort and focus into growing yourself, by summertime, you will experience balance. By summertime, you will see exactly where you are positioned, how to adjust yourself within that positioning in order to get the best um the best exposure to the light, right? Speaking of black cats, for some of you, you have a familiar. For some of you, you have another living being that serves as a guardian for you, right? For some of you, you have multiple. You have an entire army that is serving as a guardian, as guardians, as a little army for yourself. Go on then. You won the cat distribution lottery. Oh my gosh. um, and you have to think about this. The more, oops, ooh, the more, the more you have, the more potential, the more soul is trying to provide for you. You're going to probably have more guardians. And that's probably to ensure that nothing interferes with your process of creation. You're in the process of creating something profound. You can feel it. You can feel it. Michael says I wrote. Okay. Okay. Mm, okay. Ooh. So a lot of the poetry that I write, it really has no one in particular that it's addressed to. These are just like conversations that potentially played out in previous lives with random ass people, or just these like different things, right? Just, there's these different things, and it could always apply in a way that it's romantic, or it could apply in a way where soul and the self are speaking to each other. And so here it is. I lied. I don't usually lie, but I did to you. I lied when I told you that I didn't know what I am to you. I lied to myself when I said it didn't matter. I'm saying, are you lying to yourself about not knowing how powerful, how potent, how important your existence is? Not just for yourself, but for other people who you don't even know exist yet. And then this one. I didn't know it would feel this way. I want to stop. I want it to stop, but I don't know how to ask you to come home. I'm wondering if that's your soul speaking to you. It didn't know that agreeing to allow you to experience the things you would experience, these things that would pull you so far from your space of center. Soul didn't know that it would feel that way, and it wants those feelings to stop, but it doesn't know how to ask you to come back home. It doesn't know how to explain to you that it's created an entire home just for you, a space for you to occupy, a space for you to be in as you witness all the storms that are headed our way, a space where you can weather anything and everything, right? Ooh, this one too. I have so much poetry, it's ridiculous. So when you frame this um, in such a way where it is your soul speaking to you, right? It feels like I have no choice or options but to be with you. But I also know you would never make me choose. Is that what love is? Is your love an expression of my freedom where you allow me to be me? I don't know. I don't know. I'm wondering if what you're feeling is your soul calling you back home to center. All of these emotions, all of these feelings, I think it might be because look, surrender to the divine. Mm. Surrendering to divinity, allowing yourself to really receive these messages of love, right? A fiery climax approaches. Something profound is about to happen, something that you don't expect, something that, hmm, whoa, hold on. Okay. Yep. Let's see. Let us see. The first house in the zodiac is the house of the self. It's also a house of Aries. It's home to our ascendant or rising sign and is associated with self image, our style of initiation, and how we are perceived by others. All right. Our style of initiation. Okay. Yikes. Ooh. Ooh, okay. This is a part of the chart that reveals how we appear to others, but also how we think about ourselves. For this reason, it is deeply introspective. You're being asked to go deep within yourself and begin to recognize the ways in which your choices, your mindset, where your emotions are allowed to roost. Them chicken head ass motherfuckers. Sorry. Where your emotions are allowed to roost. That is what is setting the intention for this initiation. You're being initiated into a deeper depth of your understanding of yourself, your power, your purpose, all of these different things. A new romantic cycle begins. For some of you, this is about falling in love with yourself. For others of you, this is about falling in love with someone else. Ooh. Mm. Mm-hmm. I'm saying. I'm saying. I'm saying this next card. Take time to breathe out. You've been holding your breath. You've been holding your breath. Oh my gosh, these are totally conversations between the self and the soul, right? You've been holding your breath. And here I just looked at my phone and there's another snippet of poetry. Everything about you scares me and I have no idea why. Maybe it's the part of me that understands I am the breath that keeps your heart beating, and that staying away from you is slowly killing you inside. This disconnect with soul, it's probably causing you to feel very much as though something inside you is dying, as though you're holding your breath and the tension is building and you don't know what's happening. Things are feeling frantic. I mean, have you ever held your breath to that point? The one time that I was ridiculous about holding my breath, um, I'll tell you guys this. I was in the middle of labor for one of my children, right? And the type of drive and determination that I have as an individual, um, hmm, it's just there's no boundaries to it. It can be extremely destructive. Just flat out fucking destructive. That's how I am. I operate at that degree of intensity when I don't um, regulate myself appropriately. So I'm in labor and I'm now actively pushing. I'm pushing with the contractions. And I was just over it already. I was like, I don't give a damn what anyone says. Baby needs to get out. And so I'm pushing with a contraction. And the nurses say, okay, mommy, stop pushing. Stop pushing. Take a break. Rest. I didn't stop. When you're bearing down that hard, you can't breathe. You're putting everything into that contraction, into the process of pushing out new life. And even with my eyes closed tight and I was pushing so hard with my breath held in, I could feel the darkness kind of just coming around me. And I could feel my consciousness kind of leaving. And I still kept pushing. And I was aware in that moment that if I did not breathe again, I was about to lose consciousness. I was about to pass out. And I didn't care. I didn't care until I reached that very fine line, that sweet spot, milliseconds before you pass out. I slightly crossed over that line, which caused me to lose control of my body for a second, and it ended me pushing. And then Yeah. I went limp. And the nurses were like, Mommy, are you okay? I was like, yeah. Are we ready? Are we ready for another? And when I opened my eyes, because I answered them with my eyes closed, I had burst blood vessels in my eyes. And I looked like someone had sprinkled me with dark purple spray paint because I had burst every single capillary from my scalp all the way down to my hips, front and back of me, down my arms. I was purple. Yeah. At which point the nurses had to tell me, like, you can't do that, mommy. When you deprive yourself of oxygen, there's no oxygen going to baby. You can't do that anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. Oops. Oops. Okay. But I think it was like 3 pushes and then the baby was out. But that's the thing though. Thinking you can exist without breath. It's just, why fight it? Why allow yourself to get to the point where your ability to consciously decide is now being revoked because you're refusing to comply because of what? The emotions, the feelings. In that moment that I just shared with you guys, the emotions that I was feeling was, I am done with this laboring. I just want the baby here. I just want him here. I just want him here. That didn't support the process. It didn't. And I laugh about what the nurse said, but one of them eventually leaned down and told me, Mommy, if you pass out like that and we can't get you to be responsive, what will happen is we'll be forced to do a C-section on you. And I didn't want a C-section. And I was like, okay, I'll stop messing around. I'll stop doing my renegade stuff. I promise I'll stop. When you tell me to stop, I will stop. I'll listen. I'll listen. And see, if you understand that that's how you learn, if you understand that that's the way, um, that's your language, right? Where it has to go to that extreme of a consequence, then just know that's how your soul will communicate with you. Soul is about efficiency. If you are going to be in a space of compliance only when things are severe, like totally out of hand and so much fear, then that's what soul will do. They will just take it right there. I don't need that in my life anymore. I just don't. I don't. That was my language for most of my life. And now it's like, can you just say please? I'm willing to do it. Just say please. My gosh. It's up to us. It's up to us. We have to balance spirituality and practicality because for many of us, a lot of these emotions is indicative of the imbalance between the spirituality and the practicality of things, right? For most people, you cannot manifest a situation that you want without taking some degree of action that's necessary. And people are going to be like, well, then that's not manifestation. Okay, well, you're a spoiled brat. You want other people to do it for you? It's for you, for your greatest benefit. And you think it should be handed to you? I mean, come on. Entitled much? Entitled much? Let me give you the answer. Yes. That is some hell of a level of entitlement right there. We all have to work for the things that we want, the things that we feel we need. We have to work for that. We have to allow ourselves to ripen in our understanding of what it is we're feeling, because oftentimes the very thing that you're feeling is the very instructions that soul is giving you. Yeah, it's up to you. It's up to you how you want to take these words. It's up to you. Um, no, it wasn't 100% intended to offend you. It was only low grade. It was a low grade offensiveness. I was attempting to utilize a lower concentration of offensive uh, offensive communication. I think sometimes certain messages have to be communicated in ways that are unconventional, because if it isn't, it kind of just goes over our head. It kind of just becomes yet another thing, another message from soul that we go about ignoring. Uh, mhm. Many of us ignore messages from soul unless it becomes something super inconvenient, something super jarring, something negative, right? We have a tendency to kind of just ignore it. There was I've shared this before. There was a person who had direct access to me, right? They had my phone number. They had been texting me for some time, and I was too nice to be like, "Hey, you inappropriate." um, but it wasn't something so outlandishly inappropriate to me yet. And then when things finally crossed that line and I had to take a look at like some of these different communications, I still didn't quite grasp exactly what was happening in those conversations, right? It took someone else who was not involved to be like, "Oh my gosh, Emmy, they were coming on to you." And I was like, "What? What do you mean? Coming on to me? But they know I'm married." They're married. And some people just don't care. But I'm oblivious to that. I think the main takeaway here is that you won't understand someone's intentions to the degree that you need to understand them right away when your heart and your mind operate and are rooted in a completely different space. I did not know that this individual had been propositioning me. I'm sorry, I don't even swing that way. Why? Why? What? I had no idea. As it was happening, I had no idea. None. Because again, my I don't conduct myself that way. That's not the first thing that pops in my head like, "Oh, you want me." I'm like, "Mm-mm, mm-mm, no." So if you're trying to understand what soul is trying to communicate to you, but you're not understanding it, well, then soul is going to go ahead and use emotions. It required me reaching a space within myself where the emotions were very much in discord. My emotions were very, like, I was very triggered. Like, this person, oh my God, stop trying to play games with me. Stop trying to dance around what you did because they had done something else. And I'm just like, no, I'm good. We not friends. I'm not your friend. I'm not going to be answering your text messages no more. Like, get done what needs to get done and leave it at that. We're not having no conversations. We're not going to pretend you didn't just do what you did. It took me getting angry to that point, and I still didn't say anything, right? I still didn't say anything. And when I finally began to allow myself to process, it really was this thing of like, wow, I didn't realize how inappropriate this has been for how long? Like, for how long? Have your Have your attempts to ignore soul's communications and instructions gotten to a point where it's so super duper inappropriate to where soul needs to take all of these like um super intense drastic measures just to get you to see that communications are coming in? I have lots of LGBT friends, like a lot. A lot. Uh that's the only one that act like that towards me. Yeah. 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 Well, actually, two of them. Just two, but they're not even my friends. That's the thing, right? So I don't want to put it on a group. They're representing themselves. They're not representing any type of group, any type of orientation or any of that. No way in hell. Nope. So, as you're going through these things, emotions are going to continue running high. And those emotions need to run high because guess what? Soul is preparing to have you break through to the other side. You're about to have a breakthrough. Well, it's up to you if you want to see it as a breakthrough or a breakdown. it's not going to be it's not going to be something usable right away if you're choosing to see this process as nothing more than a breakdown. Okay. You need to hold your vision of what it is soul is trying to encourage you to do. What is soul trying to encourage you to do, anyways? Do you know? Have you like kind of paused to see like what's happening here? What is this? What's happening is you're entering into a time of healing. Excuse me. This time of healing is supposed to help you see the ways in which you are still holding on to things from the past, things that have hurt you deeply once upon a time, right? Once upon a time, your feelings were hurt and then you never moved forward from it. Well, that's one hell of a story, isn't it? That's one hell of a story. Once upon a time, my feelings were hurt and I just never moved forward from it. Oh, well, then now you know where your issue is. Now you know what's the causation of your struggle. You never moved forward from the trigger that was used to initiate introspection, to initiate awareness expansion. Don't let your past hold you back. I think for many of us, a lot of the things from the past are coming forward to the present. Ooh, there's another quote. Hold on. Let me find my quotes. Okay. Ooh, where is it? Where is it? Okay. Then here I was, ready to be as honest as I need. Damn. Okay, no, that wasn't it though. um Letting go of any connections you have to elevated degrees of toxicity is crucial for you to be able to move forward. The weight of other people's toxicity, that is unnecessary weight, unnecessary baggage that doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. So give it back to the person who tried to convince you that it was something you needed to carry for someone else. Ooh, ooh, I'm saying, but that wasn't what I wanted to find. Ooh, my gosh. Don't let the past hold you back. Allowing that past to exist in the present is a surefire way to taint your perception. allowing the distortions from the past to exist in the present. It's a surefire way to taint your potential. There's a shift that's happening. This card came in reverse. That tells me something is being blocked from happening for you. Intentionally shift it so that it's right side up, so that the shift can occur, so that you can finally release yourself from that holding space that you've kept yourself in. Start listening to soul. Start really letting soul talk to you, communicate its needs, communicate its plans, its instructions. Stretch in reverse, but we're not doing that today. It's time to consciously choose to develop flexible strength, where your tensile strength is not at a degree where you will shatter just because you're disappointed. You will shatter just because you didn't get your way. You will shatter because, right? Increase the degree of tensile strength. Really take the time to cultivate flexibility. Cultivating flexibility is not about preparing yourself to be pretzeled by other people. No, absolutely not. Use discernment about when flexibility is needed and when a very formidable response is what's most appropriate. Rediscovery, but it's in reverse. Again, something is trying to interfere with you rediscovering these parts of yourself. These are parts of you that have already existed. The reason these emotions can come up in this way, someone's crying. Someone is crying. Hmm. Someone's crying and it's making me dizzy. Someone's been like super stressed out for at least a few hours, if not a few days. You're getting all this tension headache. Um, you take something like this or a gua sha, right? If you don't have a massage stick, you could take any surface. You need to release the tension. I'm not even joking. You need to release that tension. You could use a crystal in circles, right? You should not be rubbing selenite on your skin. That's not a good thing. But releasing a lot of the tension, especially right here, right? The inner corners of the eyes and right here, releasing that tension, just really releasing it. The temples, slightly into the hairline, tracing it back behind the ears and where your skull meets your neck, really just rubbing that, okay? Just like fucking release some of that tension because you can't live like this. You can't live in such a way where you hold on to all of these things that your soul is instructing you to let go of. Ooh. Ooh. Do you know who that someone in particular is, Mindy? I've had a tension headache since I woke up in the middle of the night. I woke up and felt the intense need to pray for someone in particular. It hasn't gone away. Is that someone that you know, or you just felt a need to pray for someone in particular, but you don't know who they are? Okay. How about this? All right. Preservation. Your inner child is your living potential. The adult you will sacrifice itself to keep the potential of your inner child intact. Your inner child is your living potential. The adult you will sacrifice itself to keep the potential of your inner child intact. So, what should I do? What should I do? I'm going to go live later today, in a little while, actually. I'm going to be doing expedites, right? So, if you need some type of energetic work, you can go to that QR code, and you can select what you feel drawn to. Um, I'm trying to discern if I am out of line by wanting to offer some type of group assistance. I'm unsure. I don't have any very specific, like, I don't have any very specific ideas one way or the other of whether or not I should do energetic work right now. Here's what you could do. Okay. Put your arms straight out with your thumbs, right? Arms straight out, level. Stick your thumbs into your chest. Dig your thumb in and start to go like this. Breathe very deep and very slow. Now, where your thumb is, pull your shoulder blades all the way back. It'll take you to the sides of your pectoral muscles, and do that as well. Not just up and down, but in circles. Try that for a few seconds. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Those are areas that are going to be tender. You need to release some of that. Allow yourself to release some of that and just and then this is the best part. You take your thumb and you hold it. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Do the other thumb. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Once you do your thumbs, take your two fingers, squeeze it, squeeze it. It's better for, at least to me, it's better if I hold it like this and squeeze it. Got to get to the base and kind of squeeze it along the length of your two fingers. How does that feel? Are you feeling a little more chill? The more tender it is, the more tension you hold there, the more trauma that's being stored. That's the more you're breaking up what's being stored. These are clusters of lymph nodes. You have clusters of lymph nodes right here, right along here. And a lot of what's being purged out emotionally, it's flowing through here. It's coming from the heart chakra, the heart space. And so you guys are needing to really do some of this work on yourselves. Or you're needing to have work done on you. This is a very difficult period, and all of these emotions that are floating through, they're emotions that are very, very intense. very, very intense. It's how you hold yourself. It's like you're consistently trying to protect yourself, waiting for the next thing to happen. And it's like, no, so long as you continue for the next horrible thing to happen, all you will have the space to focus on are horrible things happening, right? Renewal, this came in reverse. This renewal, it's needed. But here you are thinking and feeling as though, no, no, I got this. It's been like this for forever. So, it is what it is. Okay. If you say so, okay. Um, it is what it is. And okay, if you're okay with it, um, then, it is what it is. But if you can be honest with yourself, quite possibly for the first time in your life, right? Because we all have to have that moment where we're finally being honest with ourselves. If you can be honest with yourself that you're not okay with feeling this way, that you're not okay with holding um all of this tension, all of this negativity inside your body, that can make you really sick. It can. It has the ability to amplify the oxidative stress levels and all of that. It's not good, you know? All of that. You have to allow yourself some time and some space to gain clarity on what you need, clarity about all of these different things that, um, if we're really going to be honest with ourselves, have we been clear about what we need to do? Have we been very, very clear in our understanding of what soul is instructing us to do? Because if we haven't, then, admitting to ourselves that we don't have the clarity we seek, um, then it's kind of just this thing of, well, if you don't know what you're doing, why are you doing that? If you don't know why you're doing it, why are you doing that? Right? Um, for those who think what you need is a full body massage, it's not going to work. It might work for 30 minutes or so, but then um, you're right back to square one. You're right back to where you started. Maybe even worse, because now you're frustrated, like, oh my God, I just had a full body massage. Why? Well, because you didn't actually process what you're holding on to. All you did was move it around. It just got moved around. It got released from where it's being stored, and now it's free flowing through your body and it's going to be stored somewhere else. The tension isn't gone. It's the thoughts, it's the way you see yourself, the way you address yourself. And, if you can pair that massage with some alterations, modifications, and that internal conversation you consistently have, that might work. That might work, right? That might work. But if you are not willing to really truly address the things that are needing to be addressed, um, it's just not going to work. It's just not. Because a lot of times, the work that you actually need done, it's not a massage. It's full on sport recovery work. That's painful. That is painful as fuck. It is. It is. I've been debating on no longer sharing any of my um, fitness journey, right? But I think maybe this is the last thing I'll share. Um, I had an injury over a year ago, And that injury caused my vertebrae to twist and tilt. One of them to twist and tilt. And with that, when my body was trying to protect itself, because it's my spine, uh, it locked up my rhomboid muscles. It's the muscles that hold your scapula. Um, I did not realize that that one little thing really had such lasting effects through my entire body. I've been working so hard to correct it. And that one little thing that I thought was just like a little tightness, a little inconvenience, it's caused me to tilt my pelvis laterally. It's caused me to also have a partial anterior pelvic tilt. It's caused me to overcompensate with my lat muscle. It's caused me to have unsymmetrical growth in my arms, in my traps. I don't know how to hold my back straight at this point. I don't know when I'm slightly off. I can't tell. And in my effort to deal with that injury mentally, emotionally, I severed my mental connection with that part of me. So I typically don't experience pain, but when I move, um, I can tell something's wrong. I can tell something is wrong. And so I finally spoke to someone about what I needed to do to correct it because the exercises that are geared to correct that, they're not working. It's not working. It's been over a year. It's not working. And that's when I realized in my effort to cope with what I knew happened, in my effort to shut down the emotions over what happened, adhesions were formed. My shoulder blades were locked in place. I can't like I can't spread my lats. I can't. I can't. It doesn't allow for movement. And so what's needing to happen in order for me to undo my coping mechanism, I have to break down those adhesions. So I am running a machine that runs frequency through my muscle at very high levels. I can feel it slowly tearing in a controlled manner. I can feel the adhesions tearing. Shit's fucking painful. Had I addressed it when it was fresh, I wouldn't be having to go through that now. Had I addressed it after I had given the initial injury time to become less inflamed, I wouldn't have to do all of this now. And because now I'm willing to do all of this, I'm seeing improvement. I'm seeing increases in my range of motion. I'm seeing the development that I worked so hard for finally beginning to show up. I'm now noticing the ways in which my body holds itself to protect that, to keep that locked up. I'm now fighting with myself to let it go. How long have you held these emotions in your body? How long? How desperately have you hooked your nails into this pain, refusing to let it out, to let it go? All of us have emotional baggage, but most of us don't realize you don't need to carry that with you everywhere you go. You can set it down. You can set it down and come back to it and go through that when you're ready, when you've developed the proper tools to begin really assessing, addressing all of these different things, right? And how did I get to this point of realization about my body, which is again a representation of my spiritual, emotional, and mental journey deeper into myself and my truth, right? How did I realize this? Because I had to have no shame in seeing the way I move. I had to be willing to take an honest and very raw look at myself. For most people, they don't know I have that imbalance. They don't know that I've been living with an injury for how long. I'm very good at masking it. I showed you guys a video of me doing assisted pull ups. You can't really tell. It's like, no, you look like you're doing pull ups, right? Except when I'm willing to look at myself truthfully, like, nah, that shit don't look right. The left and the right side of me, they're not working together. The masculine and the feminine in me is not working together. That's what that's indicative of. How do you let go of things but still hold space for them? Severing parts of myself off only led to cognitive dissonance. Letting go has nothing to do with severing. Are you holding space or are you holding trauma? These are very powerful questions, Charlie. I didn't have to sever any part of me. I don't. I have to recognize the ways in which my feminine side is trying to overcompensate for the fact that it's not as strong as my masculine side. My right pectoral muscle is tight, but it's weaker than my left because there's still a part of me that views my ability, my feminine ability to love wholeheartedly, unconditionally, through anything and everything you could possibly do is somehow a weakness. And because I see it as a weakness, it expresses itself in my body as a protection. It needs to be tight to protect, right? To protect what? To protect myself from loving myself? From being able to move with a full range of motion through my life, my emotions? It's hard to find the line of keeping it too close and pushing it too far away. So do neither. Hold it with loving hands. Loving hands don't grip to take ownership, nor do they push away or position themselves in such a manner that prepares those hands to throw it away, right? So, what do you need to do? Accept that things have happened. Allow yourself to feel what was needing to be felt. And don't shame yourself for having those feelings. Allow yourself to really acknowledge what those feelings mean. It means there is a part of you that knows you did not deserve to be treated that way. You did not ask for any of that to happen, and that you deserve so much more than the bare minimum that you were given. I don't hold as much tension in my body anymore. Why? Because I'm coming to those terms. You know what? I didn't start that. That was not my fault. I didn't do anything to deserve that. I allowed it to continue, which I take ownership for. And because I'm taking ownership for that, I'm recognizing, all right, so if I don't like that, if it ever tries to circle back around, then I don't let that continue because that's something I don't like, right? I mean, it's one of those things where it's a very, very specialized type of work that we're doing on ourselves. It's a very, very specialized type of work. It's a type of work that you cannot do in moderation. So, moderation in reverse. Doing that in moderation is a surefire way to simply frustrate yourself. You have to either be all in, meaning allow yourself to experience everything that needs to be experienced, go as deep as your soul is asking you to go, allow yourself to feel to the level of intensity that is appropriate for what you are processing, and then carrying forward, continuing to move through. Surface in reverse. Your fear is making you feel like the only way to get through this is by remaining on the surface. I don't know about that. Because when you simply remain on the surface, you never actually address the root causation. If you don't go deep enough to address the root causation, you never actually realize how deep you can actually go. Right? So then comes the need for you to begin allowing the process to be what it is, a process. All right, guys. Final card. Oops. Okay. Let's put that back. It's a Kali kind of day. I will be live later on today to do expedited requests. If there is any type of energetic work that you're needing to get done, go check out that QR code or the link in the comments and see what it is you're drawn to. For many of you, especially if you're going through this type of process, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to consider the ORAF malignancy binding. This is a very potent process that all of us are in. The name of the expedite is the ORAF malignancy binding. And this period is intense. It's super duper intense. It is allowing for things to get moved around, reorganized, all of that amazing stuff. So you just make sure you allow for your process. Make sure you hold space for yourself. All right, card number 38, 3 being the number of a solid foundation to reunify all of your parts, which is the number 8, right? Let's go ahead and just, yeah. Here we go, guys. The final card. Final card. Final card. The final card. Okay, let me quit messing around. All right. Here goes. Card number 38, Kama of Kali. She is completely and utterly in love with your divine essence, and in her love bestows endless gifts. Your path need not be one of endless effort. Connecting with pleasure as a path of personal empowerment with an intention to bring spiritual benefit to the collective through softening and opening your heart is an act of worshiping the divine feminine. Relax into the presence of what is as you slow your pace and make swifter progress. Ooh, tell me this is not fully aligned with the entirety of the message that we've been talking about today. Tell me this is not fully aligned, right? Kama is a Sanskrit word that refers to the sweet stuff of life, pleasure, emotional fulfillment, and being completely present so we can experience life through all the senses. So it is also sensuality and physical vibrancy. Without the quality of Kama, our experience of life can become dry, bleak, and intimidating. a joyless existence with simply more tasks to be completed. If we are feeling exhausted, lacking in the qualities of delight and lightness of the heart, then we've become deficient in kama, sacred pleasure. In the realm of the goddess, the enjoyment of life is a sacred act of devotion, gratitude, and celebration. In the throes of profound challenge and transformation, we can feel disconnected from our joyfulness. It's as though um, it were akin to the bright days of summer and we are midwinter, wondering, however, was it that we could frolic about in barely anything when we now feel the need to cover ourselves with abundant protective layers. So maybe part of the reason why you're struggling to shed all of these layers of insulation is because you are not acknowledging the wintry atmosphere you are existing in. When you exist in a space that's devoid of soft, warm love, yeah, you're going to feel cold. Yes, you are going to feel the need to insulate layer after layer after layer. This is to be expected during times of intense suffering when we are dealing with an issue that has elicited grief or anger. Yet, if we allow our minds to remain open to the possibility of joyfulness and pleasure, they can find their way through like the sun breaking through clouds to bring us comfort. The oracle can indicate not only a more pleasurable way of being as part of your future, but also an offering of pleasure now, even if you're struggling to ease the strain and make the way easier overall. Accessing pleasure requires embodiment, a connection with the senses and the subtle nuances of feeling and beauty. Through embodiment, it's easier to receive healing. When you embody, you're taking it in. You're allowing yourself to fully experience. Um, okay. To embody is to be an expression of or give a tangible or visible form to, include or contain something as a constituent part, form into a body, especially for specific purposes. Embody. To give a concrete form to. Maybe the concrete form that you could give to your piece is your physical body. Maybe that's it. Maybe through the healing of your physical body, the releasing of the energetic traumas that are stored in the musculature of your body, you can then have a tangible experience, a concrete understanding of what it means to finally let go, right? Through embodiment, it's easier to receive healing. It can manifest through the uplifting scent of aromatherapy, the warmth of a shower, gratitude for a safe and comfortable place to sleep, the sumptuousness of warm clothes or a satisfying meal, the delight of playful silliness in animals, the nutty sense of humor of a beloved human, the simple appreciation for the flow of the breath, or through the openness of being that spontaneously occurs in response to an expansive vista of trees and mountains. This is about seeing the breath of life. This is about allowing you to see, not breath, 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 the expanse. um, Kama is a spiritual practice of presence that leads us into joy, even ecstasy and bliss. It is the juiciness of feeling truly alive. I mean, are you feeling juicy, succulent? Or are you feeling more like dried up? You've been overly microwaved, dried up, and just very fibrous, right? If we have a complicated or confused attitude towards pleasure, the natural need for it can be denied or repressed, yet it will not disappear. And I think that's what a lot of us are experiencing, self denial of the very things we need the most, right? And as we deny it, the natural need for it can be repressed, but it will not disappear. It will arise in some indulgence, addiction, or peculiarity of behavior, which creates suffering because it helps us, because it's not the natural expression of the natural need. So you need to receive love. You have that feeling of you need love from your environment, and your environment is not willing to give you that love. And so you seek it out and you try and force it on people. You try and force something that you deem is love onto someone else because you need that validation, you need that reassurance. And what happens when the person you're doing this to misunderstands what you are communicating, does not realize what you are intending to communicate is not the same as what you actually said, what you actually wrote, then they will have their own reaction to that. And oftentimes their reaction will not be the very thing that you wanted. It'll be the antithesis of it. And that creates suffering because it's not the natural expression of the natural need. The Kali of Kama helps us reconnect to our need for pleasure and its healthy expression. The oracle speaks of a gift entering your life from the will of the goddess. It's an invitation to relax and to receive. Sometimes we may unconsciously attribute divine will with intentions to demand more and more of us. Yet, divine will has our best interests at heart. Those demands probably don't. When we need to develop strength, it will certainly provide the experiences necessary for us to do so, but it also provides sweetness and pleasure, which we can embrace or not using our free will. The oracle speaks of a need to embrace pleasure and the many gifts of the goddess. This is not an indulgence. It can actually help you make progress on your spiritual path. To be able to embrace joyfulness is a gift. It provides us with relief and release when the path has been truly difficult. It is a summer to the winter soul. To grow, we need both. So it's this thing of you receiving the opposite of what you think you're in. And because you don't understand, it's going to feel unnatural. It's going to feel like something you need to fight against. It's going to feel like it's a trick, that you're being punished, or maybe that you're being taunted, having the very thing you want the most be dangled in front of you but never actually given to you. In reality, what's actually happening is it's being dangled in front of you so that you can find some type of inspiration to move towards it, not to sit there and expect it to be handed to you, right? To grow, we need both. The Kali of Kama is a message that we should not discard our need for pleasure. So much of what society promotes as pleasure is little more than disembodied escapism that creates further suffering rather than healing. They're distractions. The natural and enhancing experiences of pleasure, however, are a mystical medicine. We can only access it through presence, spontaneity, and connection to ourselves and life. The Kama of Kali is genuinely healing. It is how we recognize sacred pleasure through its effect. It has far reaching positive consequences and leads to more energy, commitment, and discipline as a natural response to the alleviation of excess pressure. This teaching is not about becoming hedonistic or pursuing pleasure at any cost without wisdom or benefit. I think that's very important for all of us to hear. It's not encouraging you to be hedonistic, okay? Instead, the oracle asks us to engage with pleasure as an act of worshiping the goddess. When divine worship is genuine, it doesn't add to the suffering of the world, but aids relief. To understand this, we can give up the notion of pleasure as selfish and begin to associate it with the sacred. I think for many of us, we feel like we don't have the budget to experience pleasure in our lives. Pleasure has nothing to do with budgets. It has everything to do with you being present in the moment and seeing the beauty in what surrounds you. It has everything to do with the ways in which you choose or choose not to cultivate your view of what it is you're living through, what it is you're experiencing in that moment. I don't know. I don't know. This oracle brings comfort. It speaks of the forthcoming grace of pleasure in your life and your capacity to truly be with it as an act of blissful divine devotion. It's time for you to be with yourself. It's time for you to begin recognizing the beauty that is you and how you can cultivate that, how you can bring more of yourself out. For days now, I've been feeling these different fluctuations, these different shifts, shifting in how I see myself, shifting in how I see other people, shifting in what I perceive about the people who are the most important to me. Um, and in that, allowing that shift to be the very thing that creates a space for me to fall deeper in love with the life I have created for myself and co created with all the people that I love. Life is not happening to you, it's happening in accordance with direct instructions from you. And if you're not in the driver's seat, if you gave the keys to your insecurities, I think maybe you need to take the keys back. I think maybe you need to tell your insecurities to take a back seat, to strap in, because you're going on an adventure and you're going to learn more about yourself so that you can better understand the beauty that you are. Now is not the time to shrink away from the process that you're in. To shrink away is to invite more of this visceral experience of struggle deeper into your core. That's going to hurt even more. That's going to hurt way more. And it's going to require much more correction. It's up to you, though. Whatever you want to do is what will be done. So, guys, I'm going to be going live in about 2 or 3. Oh, what? Oh, in about an hour. In 2 hours. I'm changing the time. I'm tired. This reading made me sleepy. In 2 hours, I will be going live for the Protection Tea Party. If you would like to purchase an expedited request, go ahead and click on that QR code or click on the link in the comments, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe, turn on that notification bell, join me when I'm live, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon.